How's it going, y'all? Pete here.
Hey, Amanda.
It is Saturday, June 7th. This morning I became aware of a video. It was actually captured 2 months ago down in the panhandle of Texas in a town called Pampa by Andrew, who's affiliated with Amarillo CopBlock. And if you're in the Texas area or after you watch this video, if you want to connect with them, support their efforts, go to copblock.org/groups, and you'll find the Amarillo CopBlock and over 150 other groups, contact info there that are known. But today, just giving this Google Hangout on-air function another attempt, and this time I'm going to try to play a video as we sort of try to break it down and share our thoughts and whatnot. So let's go ahead and do this. I think the video should be pretty informative. Also, you know what I forgot to do? Sorry for the delay, folks. I'm just going to do one more thing. I'm going to get used to this Google On Air thing. I'm going to take this embed code for this current show, and then I'm going to drop it into the page that's called copblock.org/live, and then I'm going to update the page, and that live feed will then be visible if anyone goes to copblock.org live. So again, here we go. We're breaking down this video in Amarillo. As you may have heard Andrew mention, the videographer, he said there's 5 of them there, them being these police employees in this little town of Pampa, Texas, and he's just kitty cornered.
Well, he's so far back. I mean, like, something I've noticed a lot when I've filmed police encounters, and I haven't, I've filmed like this many as compared to how many you have. But it seems like the worst instances that you see, like on YouTube or whatever, is the police will say, stay back X number of feet, otherwise you're interfering with, fill in the blank. And I don't know, do you have any comment on, like, I mean, are there laws that say you have to stand X number of feet away from special people in costumes, or is that kind of all made up on the spot?
Yeah, I think it's pretty, it's definitely not objective, and it's subjective to that stop itself. I mean, it depends on who's there, who's on the scene, the attitude of the people, what kind of day they're having, how you are, like all these different things. But generally, I mean, for this guy who's out on the street by himself, it is okay. I guess if you're farther away, it is safer because then these frivolous claims can't be levied at you. It is better to have a presence than none at all, and at least have some evidence. But
what must be really nice is when your camera has zoom,
yeah, and
then you can get in a lot closer.
Definitely collect identifying information and things. But, all right.
That right there, the police employee tries to find out whether or not this guy is from a newspaper, because newspapers generally kind of, I think, get more privilege in terms of like coming on scenes of live breaking news, if you want to call it that. And so I think something I've seen that I like a lot is when people say, yeah, I'm an independent journalist. I'm here filming as an independent journalist. I don't have to be with some fancy pants newspaper to be here filming.
Yeah, I agree. It does seem like, especially, maybe the corporate media correspondents are able to not be as harassed if they're close, but a lot of that's due to the fact that they will just parrot what these claimed masters tell them to do, whereas like perhaps you, if you're watching this video on a CopBlock feed, might be more likely to question their claims of authority. So
you probably won't edit your video according to their requests
right.
if something unflattering is caught by your camera.
Yeah, and you might not say, oh, it's cool that that guy just got a paid vacation for whatever. You know, I mean, we would be more likely to call them out and try to hold them accountable in the corporate media. So, but also too, I mean, I've been in those situations. They ask, like, if you do acknowledge, like, yes, I'm a journalist, and they ask for, like, they might ask for like a press ID and then like whatever. And so it's just, I usually just tend to say, like, I'm just here like for myself, and I don't even claim any affiliations or whatever, because whatever you say is going in their notes, and it's going to go enter, you know, potentially be in some fusion centers. So why give them more information? And the first time I saw this, you know, as a gentleman came up, and Andrew, the videographer, told him, you know, I was just testing my camera. I photographed the court and things like that. Like, even that is as you'll hear shortly, it's you know, just they're just fishing for information that they can try to like tie together in this loose whatever narrative to try to cast doubt. And
it seems like nonstop questions on the part of police employees when they approach you or anyone else. They just launch into an endless barrage of questions. And as you may or may not know, if you've ever been in a situation, when you're on the answering end of a conversation, like, in my opinion, that's like the weaker side to be on. Like, if someone else is dictating conversation by asking you questions and you're continually answering them, you are on the losing end, in my opinion. Like, that's why, you know, what a lot of people like to say, that am I free to go, am I being detained, all of that, questions. You know, you're flipping the dialogue around. Like, hey, I'm not here to answer your questions. How about you're here to answer mine? Remember that part where you pretend that you're my employee? That part where you pretend you're a public servant? Right. I'm going to ask you some questions.
Yeah, so let's see how it goes.
Where he said just now, oh, that's okay, that's okay. I've noticed in some of the DHS checkpoint refusal videos on YouTube, people have used that phrase when the police employees are like, you know, pull over into that area, and they'll be like, that's all right, thanks anyway. No, I'm fine, thanks though. And the, you know, it's like it's neither an answer nor a question. It's just a way to be like, yeah, this thing you're trying to do right now, it's stopping right here. That's fine. Thanks.
Yeah, like you said earlier, it's about who's controlling the conversation. If it's a one-way street of trying to solicit information through lies and intimidation, or whether it's like mutual respect and people are like open-minded to each other and learning from each other, or whether it's like you're answering questions with questions, as you hear Andrew just did. He asked the police employee for his name, so it's good to hear that he's kind of going that route. Yeah, I just want to comment and give Andrew props for continuing to roll as he left the scene. A lot of people who might knee-jerk reaction come to the side of police employees. They'll say, oh, where was the whole scene? What happened before you started recording, or this or that? So it's good that Andrew had the peace of mind to have this continuous piece of content, so it can show like he wasn't flippant, he didn't do anything, he wasn't yelling at the police employees. And also, I just want to mention, as the driver of the pickup, free to go, he was on his way without getting a ransom note. Like we will never know for sure, but perhaps Andrew's presence there, documented, helped make that conclusion more likely. And I do think that's the case. I know if I were stopped, I'd appreciate like if you were nearby and you filmed, and vice versa. So we're all better off.
I know I had an experience once where I was a passenger and we were pulled over, and for whatever reason, I don't know why, but the car in front of us also pulled over along with us. And so while that car was there, the police employee felt, he was kind of like not maybe acting as crazy as he did later on. He went up to this vehicle that had pulled over with us. I don't know who they were. I don't know if they were trying to do us a favor or if they thought that, it was like a double pullover that evening, 2 for 1. I don't know. But he went up there and told them to leave. And then once they left, that's when we were detained out in the cold for an hour and unlawfully searched. And so, yeah, I think just having other people on the scene, it just brings a level of safety to your friends and neighbors.
Yeah, it is real difficult. I admit, like, on-foot interactions, it's easier, safer to film than, like, if you're in a vehicle, there's much more BS that they can try to, like, levy at you or threaten you with. So, like, pulling over on the side of an interstate, versus, like, seeing something when you turn the corner, it's easy to be discreet around the corner if that's your choice, or to, get a different vantage point or whatever.
I think it's also nice because, like, camera people are on foot, like, they're mobile. Like, the poor people in the car, like, the people being victimized and road pirated, they're so at a disadvantage, like, being stuck in this little box, and like, even the height difference is telling. You have the police employee way up here, like, looking down on you, and, you probably have your seatbelt on, so you want to...
Find stuff.
Yeah, like, they're shining their light in every corner of your car, and just, like, the people in the car are a real disadvantage. But a camera person out on foot really kind of more balances the scales in terms of the real power play that all of these are about.
Yeah, there's a lot of instances when the demeanor of the police employees change when you arrive at the scene with a camera. That's a tough question.
It's assault.
Yeah, it is assault. Just think, if the gentleman with the video camera would have gone up to anybody else on the street and done what this police employee did, it would be assault, like you said. He would definitely be in the wrong. And this is what we mean, badges don't grant extra rights. That act isn't legitimate for this aggressor because of his costume.
Right. And can you imagine, the other way around? Like, if Andrew had reached for the police employee's gun, I'm not assaulting you, sir. I'm just reaching, for the property. That's the way it works. I'm in control here. You're not. That's the way it works.
Right. I've seen you be aggressive. I don't think you should have that piece of property because you might be prone to further aggress upon people.
By the way, it's my property because I paid for it.
Right. Paid for with money stolen from area residents. So, let's continue. I just want to pause here for a moment and encourage you to pay attention to what, like, the fake dialogue that ensues. I've been in like many situations, and if you've watched similar videos or you may have similar experience yourself, but this police employee has like circular logic, and he bases his claims on nothing, and then like conflates them and tries to compound them with other claims based on nothing to then justify his legitimate use of violence. So it's pretty telling, as the text pointed out, Andrew had shared. He's probably used to bullying people around and people sort of, giving in. But it's important that people don't, because then otherwise this sort of situation becomes more common or worse.
I've also found the tactic, the whole like if you're on stage and nervous, imagine the audience in their underwear. The trick behind that is to imagine people outside their costumes. And American police are decked out so intimidatingly, like from their like jack boots to like a belt, just a belt. It's an arsenal, like a billy club, a radio, a gun, a taser, pepper spray, handcuffs. I mean, they're just head to foot, and the cars as well are decked out to look intimidating. And so some instances I just kind of try to imagine them outside of those really sort of intimidating costumes, and it's like, oh, you're just a person, you're just a bully.
Yeah, it's a lot, and a lot more people are seeing through that charade that's attached to the costume. Could you ever think about going into like your favorite place of getting a good service for a consensual interaction, like your favorite store or favorite whatever vendor, and having these sorts of conversations? Like, it's ridiculous, like, to think that this is the provision of safety and security that anyone would want or care to pay for. So, I mean, I think it's important to realize, if you don't want to see this kind of thing, you got to, one, in your mind, you have to withdraw your consent, and then also stop funding them and stop utilizing them and seek alternatives.
Yesterday I was out on the street filming some police over in Manchester, and I ended up talking to someone about how I am not like anti-police or anti-security. In fact, I'm rather fond of security. Like when I go to, like large events or whatever, and I see bouncers or private security like patrolling the parking lot, I legitimately feel safer. I really do. And it's not being anti-police, I'm just pro-competition. And it's so inherent. Like, if you were to ask anyone, like, what do you think would happen to the quality of shoes if, say, Nike were given a monopoly on the production of all shoes everywhere? Like, do you think maybe they would kind of start to suck? Especially if they were paid, like, directly deducted out of your paycheck every month, if that's how Nike got paid, whether you liked them or not.
Because everybody has to have shoes, right?
Yeah, and it's just like, all of us would be like, no, that would suck. Like, thank God there's competition for shoes. And the reason this whole institution sucks so badly is not because policing as a profession is bad. It's not. Any monopoly will be bad. and it just so happens to be the worst monopoly because they're the ones toting around weapons.
Yeah, and for this guy to say it's against the law, I mean, that's not true. It's against legislation, perhaps, but it's not even against the legislation. But it's important to differentiate between law and legislation. And
what is the differentiation?
I would side with the former, side with law, and that depends. That's subjective to the individual. I would say whether they look to some higher power or their inner self or whatever guides them, instead of legislation being just some arbitrary text on paper some strangers put and say that you have to obey. You know, I'm under no obligation. Like if you and your friends got together and wrote some stuff on paper, it's no more applicable, it's no more of a contract to us and that we're beholden to than what this individual is speaking of, the legislation that he and his colleagues in their corrupt institution make. So, at least my perspective. Yeah.
What did he just say?
He said you misconstrued your rights. So, what do you think about that?
Wow.
Can you not know your rights?
I guess not.
Yeah.
I guess the police know rights better than anyone, and apparently they change on the spot. Like, your rights are what they tell you they are.
Because remember, he's in control. Like you said. It's ridiculous. Also telling, I just thought, just before this sentence, this particular exchange, the colleague of Stokes is the individual talking, his colleague walked away, and I've seen this a number of times, in person or in video, is if and when the police employees on scene sort of break ranks like that, often, I mean, sure they might be up, how can we scheme and get this guy in a cage, but oftentimes it's because they even feel they need to distance themselves from this ridiculousness that's going on and remove themselves from the situation because they I think probably realize this guy, their colleague, is in the wrong, but yet do any of them speak out against it, and say, hey, let's cut this kid short, let this guy go, or anything like that, or actually, no, Stokes, you're in the wrong, and here, I'm going to tell you the right information because that's what I get paid to do, to protect your rights, but instead, these guys are trying to intimidate him and try to get him to admit to something or do something to have a reason where they can put him in a cage, and for what? Because he had the gall to film their actions. I mean, in public, it's ridiculous that this is even a situation that this individual thinks he's entitled to money that people earn in the Pampa, Texas area.
And it's important to note also that they have every financial incentive to put him in a cage that night as well, because that goes down in their books as, another arrest and jailing for the night. And so next year, when they go to request their next budget, they can say, well, the crime rate's gone up. We have to have more people on staff because we're having to process more and more people into the jail. We're going to need more money next year. And so they have every incentive to escalate this into violence. Whereas you go to an area of private security where the more they have to deal with you, the more they are going to be kind of like a nightclub per se. You have your bouncer at the door. They're there to keep people safe going in and out of the door. If they actually have to step away from that job to try to actually have to get someone off the property, they're losing money there. Their doorman's gone. Their bouncer's gone. They have to call someone else. I mean, they have every reason not to escalate, and so that's the main difference in monopolies. They don't have to deal with prices and economic reality.
Yeah, again, just to underscore the arbitrariness of this legislation, this guy says is law. If he does take this videographer Andrew into a cage, which he's threatened to do already, and he said he's fixing to do, what happens to most people in that situation? Over 90% take these plea deals and say, yes, I was in the wrong a little bit. Here's some of my coin that I earned. So it's nothing more than a shakedown, and it should be recognized as such. But not saying Andrew would do that. He's definitely is more cognizant and assertive of his rights than most people thus far. But
some of us have plea deals on our records. But that's a video for another day.
this is a little pet peeve of mine, so I just want to comment quick on, Andrew's comment about citizens have rights. I don't really like the label citizen because it implies there's non-citizens or two classes of people, or that citizens have some allegiance to some other folks who think that they have the knowledge and ability to control their lives.
I think the root word of citizen is city, like belonging to a city. In this case, a city government. So yeah, you're totally right.
Yeah. So I mean, we're humans. We're individuals. We all have rights. So. Again, that's all the more reason it should happen. If it's not that common, then it's definitely necessary. You see what happens. I'm sure after this event, like people in this area of the North Panhandle of Texas or the police employees are much more aware that this sort of situation of people filming their actions is going to happen more frequently, and it's necessary because you see the threats that get levied at someone for just exercising their rights.
I think it also goes to show how statism is like the opposite of individualism. This police employee's entire claim against Andrew is you were standing out. You were doing things that everyone else doesn't do. That doesn't jive well with me and mine. And so, yeah, I think it's just more evidence that statism creates homogenous, herd-like people, because the more you can fit in, keep your head down, the less likely you are to attract the attention of the people with the batons.
Right. And a good video to rebut that quickly is Larkin Rose's The Tiny Dot, which tries to communicate the number of people that are so-claimed rulers and enforcers versus the number of folks who they claim to rule over.
He said 9/11. That police employee just said everything justified because 9/11.
Security theater. That's all it is.
Is there even anything else to say? He said 9/11. He said it.
What's he talking about, 9/11? Like, those controlled demolitions. I don't know what he's talking about. Just real quick, if this police employee Stokes, if he was actually, if he took what he did to heart and he wanted to protect people out of love and care, then he should look in the mirror and say, what actually concerns me about this situation? I'm sure he's viewed this video since it's been made public a couple days ago, and I hope he realizes that his own actions should be of concern to himself. What kind of world is he leaving? I don't know if he has kids. Is he leaving them if this is the sort of precedent that he sets?
Camera to my wrist. That's cool.
Yeah,
we should ask him where he got that.
Have it. Yeah, I don't know. Let's see this one. Some of them have little, like this thing or these little guys.
Oh, basic like that.
Yeah, just like I'm just showing this JVC. If you just hold it like that, it'd be a little easy to grab. Also, another variation is I used to have a GoPro camera with a chesty mount, they call it. So it had like straps, and you could just have it here, so it's hands free. So you could do outreach, and also you could have your camera, so it's much less able for these criminals to snatch up your property. But, so anyway, what do you think? Any other thoughts on this on that video or?
I just think that Andrew is super cool. Thanks so much, Andrew, for standing up and filming, and you were even alone. Like, that is so difficult to do. You were surrounded by 4 people who were totally against you and who would have liked nothing more than to put you in chains and put you in the back of their car. And yeah, congrats and thank you.
Yeah, I agree. Very great exhibition, and he stood his ground. He wasn't angry. He was confident. It showed. He wasn't adversarial. He just stated the facts, and he said I should be on my way, or I'd like to be home, or whatever. And there was attempts to solicit information. There was multiple lies, and he did a great job. We did write up the phone numbers for the Gary County Sheriff's outfit, which is where Mr. Stokes works, and as well as the Pampa police outfit, which is where the 3 other police employees on the scene at the end where they work. So again, if you have any time and interest, I encourage you, welcome to call the Gary County Sheriff's outfit, 806-669-8022, and just let them know that whatever you want to let them know. Honestly, I'm not trying to tell you what to say, but maybe we should try to call them right now. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah.
All right. Let's see if we can do this right. We're gonna open up another account here and try to use try to call. Oh, it says I'm already on a call. Let me see if I can call out using this. Looks like I might be able to. No, I can't. Shiza. All right. Well, sorry, y'all. Get used to this.
Figured out.
Yeah, I was trying to put an outgoing call out while doing this on-air hangout. We were going to call the Gary County Sheriff's outfit to share some thoughts and hear what, if any, things been done and but it looks like doing this on-air hangout eats up the one line through the Google whatever accounts that I have, so I can't use my other Google Voice. But I do plan today. Reached out to Andrew. I just sent him a message on his YouTube channel to try to invite him to share any updates or maybe have a conversation with us via this medium. So hopefully, if we hear back from him, we'll do that. Just want to give him some love. And I don't know, any other like closing takeaways or anything like that, or?
I would just say, yay for Andrew for keeping his friends and neighbors safe. You know, in a way, it's almost like we're all becoming the police now, in a way, you know, because it's believed that police exist to keep people safe, but all you have to do is turn on the news and you see that that's just so really not the case. And so it's almost like, okay, so, you know, someone has to step up, because I don't want to live in a dangerous neighborhood.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the only people that have, you know, pointed guns at me and that have thrown me in cages and done things like that have had badges on, and I've not done anything to harm them or anybody's property, so they had no justification. And
I've also never been assaulted by anyone who wasn't wearing a badge and a costume.
Yeah, it's pretty big. But again, much love to Andrew. Appreciate you getting out there, setting a great example. If you're watching this and you know haven't been out yourself, you might find some value in. There's a couple links: copblock.org/knowyourrights and copblock.org/copblocking101. The Know Your Rights will give you some info, like where you're at and like some tactics and maybe some, you know, how to feel a little bit more confident and comfortable. And then the Cop Blocking 101 is especially useful if, you know, if you start to engage, especially if you're with another person. You can take different positions and have a streaming application and things like that. But overall, I guess that's it for now. I appreciate you hanging.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Peace.
Peace.